Welcome to the first week of the second half of 2025, and we're going to look at what's new in theaters this holiday weekend. Also, a quick look back, and we'll check in with the Schlocketeer. Welcome to the screening room.
Are either one of these any good?
Wow, this is a good movie.
It's pretty good.
Well, the director from yesterday doesn't think so.
It stinks.
He's sorry. You waste our film.
It's so bad.
Welcome in. This is the Screening Room Podcast. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we're from MaddWolf.com. Yeah, holiday weekend, not a lot going on. There's really only 4 films to talk about, most in the theaters and a little bit of streaming as well. But then we'll do a quick look at our top 10 of the year for all genres. By the way, we've got our top 10 just horror list out. That's a separate podcast.
That's right.
Fright Club, if you want to look that up. And also the Schlocketeer been gone for a couple of weeks. So we'll check back in with him, Daniel Baldwin, for some news and notes. But first, we've got a big sequel on the big screen to lead us off.
First up in theaters, 5 years post-Jurassic World Dominion, an expedition braves isolated equatorial regions to extract DNA from 3 massive prehistoric creatures for a groundbreaking medical breakthrough. It's Jurassic World Rebirth.
Number 7, if you're counting. Number 7 in the franchise. And every time, I think, for me anyway, and I know we've talked about this, it just reminds you of how great the first one was over 30 years ago. I mean, I think they're still trying to make those dinosaurs look as good as they did then.
Yeah, and of course we've talked about this before. It's because they didn't just use CGI; they also used puppets. They had animatronics, and that's why they looked so great. So
it was Spielberg.
And it was Spielberg. That's right. So the new one has Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. They are an extraction team, and they've been hired by Big Pharma to go into an island and extract DNA from the 3 biggest. The biggest land dinosaur, the biggest air dinosaur, the biggest water dinosaur. And this will help cure heart disease and make trillions of dollars for Big Pharma.
There's always that.
There's always that. There is always that, because that's the thing about almost all monster movies, like big creature features. The creature, Jaws, for example. Jaws is not the problem. Mayor Vaughn and the greedy capitalists, they're the problem.
Speeches will be open.
That's right. So anyway, So they take Mahershala Ali is the ship captain, and they take the ship to this island, equatorial island. So in the last one, right, dinosaurs just roamed free. But it turns out that the atmosphere and the environment are so different from when the dinosaurs roamed the earth that they are all dying off, except in this band around the equator, because the vegetation is closer, it's warmer. And there's the air is more oxygen rich.
You're blinding me with science.
Right. But nobody goes onto those islands because dinosaurs live there. And you're not supposed to go onto those islands, but it's not really very heavily guarded because people wouldn't be so stupid as to go onto those islands. And these guys go on there. That's your A story. Your B story is this family who is boating. And they're just dumb because they've made this trip before. So you think they would know that there might be giant dinosaurs in the water. And apparently it takes them by surprise. And the 2 boats, they kind of meet up. It's at one point, there's a rescue that kind of, humanize the A story. But then they get separated again. And the whole B story of this family is so cliche riddled. It's so like the teenage boy is going to earn his girlfriend's dad's respect. And there's a very small girl, because for some reason we always have to have children in the Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah.
And she keeps licorice in her backpack. So there's tiny triceratops. And how small were triceratops really ever? Were they ever small enough to fit in a small child's backpack? Probably not.
We called it Godzuki.
So the B story is just a little cringy. And then the A story about the extraction team, it's aided immeasurably by the talents of Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali, right? 2 Oscars in that guy's closet somewhere. So, and they really do elevate the material. They really do, as do a couple of great action sequences on the water. And that happens early enough in the movie that you think to yourself, it's Gareth Edwards is directing it, and you think to yourself, well, Maybe, like
Mhm.
maybe he is going to be able to breathe some life into this, but he wasn't really able to breathe life into the Godzilla franchise, and he can't really do it here either. Once they hit the land, it's just a bunch of retreads of images and ideas from the previous 6 films.
And they bring back the writer
Of the original, yes.
Yeah, so that was a cause for optimism as
Yeah.
well. But they end up going back, harkening back to that first one, and also to another very famous monster thriller movie
Yes.
that if you've been on social media, you probably already know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should spoil, but you'll see some of that as well. So yeah, it feels like too many rehashed ideas.
Yeah.
And I know we're 7 movies in now, but on our other podcast, on the Fright Club, where we were talking about the best horror movies, we talked about one of those is the new Final Destination, and it's the 10th.
Yeah.
And it finds a way to be as good as any of the installments, probably except number 1. So
Yeah.
it can be done.
It can be done.
Yeah.
But Jurassic World Rebirth does not do it.
Yeah, it's too bad because you're right. The cast alone had me had me optimistic, and then the director, has done some things, and getting the writer from the first one, but it just can't, like, when you rely on tired cliches and rehashed ideas from not only your original movie but other very, very famous action / horror movies. It just feels like a retread and kind of a meh, but
kind of meh.
Yeah,
exactly what it is.
But you said there are a couple good action
There are.
sequences. So,
There are.
if you're anywhere near where we are, where it's extremely hot, and you want to get in a cool theater on the big screen, okay, some thrills. But definitely not anything more than a meh.
Also, we have a better option if you're looking for something.
We
to see in
do on the big
theaters.
screen.
Also in theaters, in a post-apocalyptic world with food scarcity, a black family of Canadian farmers descended from American Civil War migrants defend their homestead against cannibals trying to seize their resources. Danielle Deadweiler stars in 40 Acres.
Yeah, Danielle Deadweiler, so great. You can always count on her to even elevate bad material, which she really hasn't been in too much bad material, I think.
But this is clever.
Yeah,
It's a siege movie, really, and
with cannibals.
And she plays. It's like, I don't know what it is, like 12 years after a blight has wiped out animals, really, from the face of the earth, and so farmland is the most valuable resource on earth, and so they have their 40 acres. There's a lot of that 40 acres. There's a lot of those sort of notes to history, but it's never heavy-handed. It really isn't.
No,
it's really it serves a larger purpose. And hers is surrounded by barbed wire and electric fence, and inside is an entire family of people who absolutely know how to protect themselves with weapons and work really hard. But they don't reach out and help anybody outside because it's too dangerous, and they don't want anybody inside because it's too dangerous. And it turns out that the biggest danger is there's one person inside who wants out, and that, of course, is the teenage boy, because teenage boys are so dumb
and horny.
So there are a couple times where the story is a little telegraphed. It's a little convenient, but I think that it more than makes up for that with places where it is fresh. The action is really well. It's really, really well shot.
Oh, really well shot. There's a couple of scenes that we're not going to spoil, but are really impressive to look at.
Yeah.
Staged well and shot well for tension. And I love the fact that, the title and the fact that this family had to go to Canada.
Yeah.
That's not an accident.
No.
There's another one of these films where there's a lot being said without being said.
Yeah.
While still delivering the thrills and the tension, and the fact that these people are being hunted down because they have, in this world, what everybody wants the most, and that's land.
Yep.
And they have to defend it, and they are ready to defend it, especially Danielle Deadweiler. She'll tell you what's what.
Yeah, she will. She has the two absolute best lines in this movie. And one of the things that I love the most is that the second one is funny.
Yeah,
and
it is funny.
It's badass still, but it's a funny line. We laugh.
And it's at a tense moment. It's not a light moment
No.
in the narrative, but it's funny because you're just like, right?
Yeah, but we don't get to see her be funny very often.
Yeah.
She's mainly known for really Oscar caliber performances and really Oscar caliber dramas. But if you ever saw The Devil to Pay from, I think, 2017. You know that she knows her way around a genre film as well, and she she does a just remarkable job in this movie.
Yeah.
Also, Michael Grey Eyes, who I love.
Yeah.
From Wild Indian and Blood Quantum.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he's great as well as her husband in this movie.
Yeah, and you're right. Some of it is telegraphed, but there are a couple of maybe some curveballs that you won't see coming, and
and cannibals,
and it relies on some very basic primal tension. You know, we've seen movies like this before. You know, they're making their stand, and someone is coming to get them. In this case, it's cannibals. So it'll remind you of some certain movies here and there. But it finds its way to make its own statement in the genre. So it's a little bit thriller, it's a little bit horror, but it's well done. Yeah, well staged, well shot, well acted. So this is the winner on the big screen this weekend for sure. And if you like that sort of genre action / horror, I think you'll like this one. 40 Acres out in the theaters now.
Let's go to Netflix, where Andy leads immortal warriors against a powerful enemy threatening their group. They grapple with the resurfacing of a long-lost immortal, complicating their mission to safeguard humanity in The Old Guard 2.
Sequel to, of course, The Old Guard from 4 years ago.
At least 4 years ago, which we both liked.
A lot of fun on Netflix. A lot of fun. And at the time, even if you weren't familiar with the graphic novels, these are based on graphic novels, you knew after the first one that they were setting up, hopefully, a franchise. More to come. Now, it's taken a while, but here they are with part number 2. They've got the same co-writers, the two people that were involved in the graphic novels. They changed directors. Gina
Prince
Bythewood was the original director, and man, it was fun. It was just fun. Great cast. It moved, a lot of action. We already know Charlize Theron can deliver the action as an action star, and she did that. It was just a lot of fun. And then it left you with a nice, it wasn't really a cliffhanger, but it was a thing at the end where you think, okay, that's where character came back. That's what they're going to explore in part 2. And it's pretty much what they do try to explore. They bring on Uma Thurman. And if you've seen the trailer, there's a little bit of a sword fight between Uma Thurman and Charlize Theron. Hey, I'm in.
Yes.
I mean, that's science.
Yes.
If I know that's going to be there, I want to be there. And you do get that, but unfortunately, it's too little too late in a very disappointing part 2, because by now, and this is another one, you know, when we review sequels, people always ask, well, do you have to see the first one? This is a case where it really helps. Because we had seen the first one and we were a little lost. Like, oh, wait, what happened?
That's right.
It tries to catch you up a little bit, but boy, you really should have seen the first one on Netflix as well, or at least be familiar with the graphic novels, because Andy, Charlize Theron, she leads this group of mostly immortals. Chiwetel Ejiofor is not an immortal, but he's on to help out. And also now Andy herself is not immortal anymore.
Lost her immortality in the last one.
Right. So
you
got to deal with that.
Yeah.
So it's mostly immortals, but some not. And they're dealing with this long lost immortal that resurfaced at the end of literally resurfaced.
Yeah,
she was underwater for 500 years and locked in an Iron Maiden. Quinn, I think is her name. She's back.
Quinn.
And she came back at the end of part 1. So now she's back, but she's got help.
Yeah. Here's the thing about that is that they resolve that. She's been trapped in an Iron Maiden.
Basically drowning.
At the bottom of the ocean for hundreds and hundreds of years. And then she's just like gasping for air and kind of angry. Like, no. Like I was waiting for full on insane, right? You know, I was, and the performance is very middling. They don't give her much to do. She doesn't feel integral to the plot at all.
Yeah, because she's immortal, they show everybody that's immortal their injuries healing. So basically what she would do is she would drown over and over again for 500 years because she would heal from it and keep. So yeah, that would ruin your day. But that's just one of the many things that don't add up in this. So she gets help from Uma Thurman's character, the Discord is her name, the very first immortal. And we learn all this legend and lore from another new character, Tua, played by Henry Golding, who's back, just to really tell us that legend and lore.
Just to talk.
And it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of posing. It's a lot of heavy, meaningful glances between characters and a little bit of action.
The direction feels very soap opera.
Very soap opera. The blocking is very soap opera, and it's just so static. And when you think, okay, now we're going to get up and running, now we're cooking, we're not cooking.
No.
It's the knees are cut out, and you find out later because you wonder toward the end, what is the point of all this? What's the point? Well, the point is we're looking forward to part 3.
Yeah.
This is just a real springboard to We'll come back and revisit all this in part 3, and it's not satisfying at all. No. As you have pointed out, when those middles, I guess, those part 2s work, it's because
your Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, it's because you have your own story, your own satisfying story to leave you feeling like, okay, I was told a story, and now I'm interested to follow these characters into the future. You don't get either one of those here.
No.
You just don't. You're kind of annoyed, especially if you've seen the first one because you were expecting something just as fun.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No.
It's just not. It's so disappointing because, Uma and Charlize have proven themselves to be some serious action heroes. Plus, I was very disappointed in the fight choreography.
Yeah, it
really seemed so staged. You can almost see the actors going, okay, now I'm going to put my arm here, and then you put your leg here. It just seems so stagey. Everything is just a big disappointment, unfortunately. So I know they have their eye clearly on part 3. They're building the bridge here. That's basically what this movie is to part 3. But I just can't get excited about it now, unfortunately. But part 1 is still good.
It is.
It's still fun
It is.
if you haven't seen it. But The Old Guard 2 is out now on Netflix.
And on Prime Video, when the UK Prime Minister and the US President become the targets of a foreign adversary, they're forced to rely on one another to thwart a global conspiracy. It's heads of state.
This is on Prime.
This is on Prime.
You know what these movies have, just like this, have started to remind me of? These action thrillers, little bit of comedy with the big stars. They remind me of something like the Brill Building songwriters in the 1960s. I just envision all these people that are in this room charged with churning out another one. We need these action thrillers for streaming and get these big stars in here. And most of them, so many of them are terrible. Now, I know a lot of great songs came out of the Brill Building, but it just seems so factory made. We got to crank another one out. You can tell they're just made for streaming. The good news here is this one is better than a lot of them.
It's better than we expected.
It's better than we expected.
Yeah.
It stars John Cena. He's the president. And they do have some fun with the fact that he became president out of becoming first he was a movie star. So it's a little bit of Schwarzenegger / Trump kind of thing. That's how he got popular. So that's kind of fun. And then the prime minister, Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Of Great Britain.
Yeah.
So, like the President's Council on Physical Fitness has been doing well. these guys, these guys are fit. So they get themselves basically Air Force One, which the prime minister hitches a ride on.
Yeah.
Gets attacked. It's ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous that it's this easy to take over Air Force One, and that nobody on Air Force One seems very well trained to deal with this kind of a situation. And that when the president's, guard is like, sequester yourself, Mr. President. And he's like, I'd rather look out this window. It's just, there's a lot of dumb. There's a great deal of dumb, but it's also, it has a tone of a comedy to enough of a degree to kind of help you.
Yeah, there are some funny lines. Actually, you get the main villain who chews up some scenery, Paddy Considine.
He's always great.
He is. And he seems to be having fun because I don't think I've seen him in a role like this. And he just digs in. To this just cartoonish, he might as well be twirling a mustache, but he's so good that he makes it go down a little bit easier. And there's, John Cena is likable. I mean, he's made some terrible movies. Come on. But even from the first time he was on screen, he's got charisma.
Yeah.
He does. He has an incredible square jawline, which they make fun of.
They do make fun of.
And of course, his physique, he's incredibly imposing, but he's likable. He's got charisma. And of course, Idris Elba oozes charisma. Yeah. Then you've got, we like to call her Quantico, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who's quite easy to look at as well.
And that's one of the things is that as this moves along and they introduce more characters, you're like, so you just have to be unreasonably attractive to get a job in politics, because then we find out that Carla Gugino is the vice president of the United States. You're like,
yeah.
Did they all just run on wild good looks?
That's right.
I guess so. I guess so.
And it does try to throw you a curveball. It doesn't really, but then I mean, you guess something early on, and then they try to make you think your guess is not right. But
it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It
but
is. Also Jack Quaid, because it's a movie, and therefore Jack Quaid.
Exactly.
He's pretty funny.
He is pretty funny.
Yeah,
he's got a couple of scenes, not a whole lot of screen time, but he makes the most of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's totally ridiculous. But as these movies go, I mean, it's no Red Notice, it's no Ghosted.
No.
Those I think are setting the low bar
Yeah.
with these right now. But it's if you've got the streaming service and you're in the air conditioning, yeah, I mean, you could do worse. Just know that it's totally dumb and ridiculous, but
very attractive
and fun, and it has its moments of fun as well. So on the scale of these types of cookie cutter action dramedy thrillers for streaming, it's better than a lot of them.
It is,
and that's Heads of State and Muscular Bodies of State and tight tank tops of state. Streaming now on Prime. I think we're going the Schlocketeer is back, right?
There he is.
Going to the lobby.
Hey, welcome.
Oh, happy to be back.
You've been on vacation since
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
The beach.
All right.
Nice. Good thinking.
Nice.
Didn't get a tan, but didn't get burned. So
I'm
happy.
Victory. That's
That
a
is victory.
Yeah. Pasty faces over here. We're with you all day.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So you've got some news to fill us in on. It's been a while. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, first off, if people want some more stuff to watch this weekend, Ryan Coogler's Sinners is now available to stream on HBO Max, and John McLean's Tornado is now available on VOD.
Oh, well, Sinners, obviously, that's our number one of the year so far. But Tornado, I enjoyed. And a lot more people probably missed that because everybody saw Sinners, as well they should.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those are both. Yeah, those are both goodies.
And Christopher Landon's thriller Drop will be available to stream on Peacock beginning July 11th.
All right.
There's a new Samara Weaving heist thriller called Eeny Meeny that is premiering on Hulu on August 22nd.
Okay.
And Bleecker Street will release David Mackenzie's thriller Relay in theaters on August 22nd. That one stars Riz Ahmed, Lily James, and Sam Worthington.
Wow, that's a good cast.
Mm-hmm.
I love Riz Ahmed.
And then Nia DaCosta's Hedda will get a limited theatrical release on October 22nd, followed by a streaming premiere on Amazon Prime a week later on October 29th.
Oh.
And keeping the female auteur run going, Catherine Bigelow finally has a new movie. It's a political thriller titled A House of Dynamite that will hit Netflix on October 24th and stars Idris Elba, Rebecca Ferguson, Tracy Letts, and Caitlin Dever. It is supposed to get a limited theatrical run, but they don't have a date for that just yet.
Okay.
And still keeping it going, Lynn Ramsey's Die My Love will hit theaters on November 7th, courtesy of Mubi. And that one's got Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes. Always, I mean, whatever she's doing, I want to see it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
she makes like a movie per decade.
I know.
And they're all so glorious. I'm so
glorious.
excited for this one.
Switching gears, Dave Bautista's new action thriller Trap House will hit theaters on November 14th. And the giant monster sequel Troll 2 will premiere on Netflix on December 1st. And then to close things out, I wouldn't be me if I didn't mention this, but Denis Villeneuve will co-write and direct Bond 26 for Amazon MGM after he is done with Dune Messiah, which starts filming next week and comes out Christmas 2026.
So as soon as I saw that news, I wondered, how does Daniel feel about this? I mean, it's hard to
I'm all in.
It's hard to imagine being unhappy
Right.
that
The
caliber
only thing,
director is taking on
the
your
only
favorite
thing I
franchise.
think it tells you, and I love his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I think it tells you, and I think it gives you a clue toward the mood. I don't think we're going back to Roger Moore type.
No, probably not.
Silliness. No.
Which is all right with me.
Yeah, at least not for this one. He's supposedly only in for one, so he's going to kick off this next run and then go on about his business to make some other movies. The only downside for me as an impatient Bond fan is that it means it's probably not going to come out till late 2027, summer 2028. But with him in charge, it'll be worth the wait.
They've still got to find their man or woman. Who knows?
Never know.
Yeah, there's still no clues about that.
Not yet, anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll find out. We'll keep us informed about all that stuff. So in the meantime, you want to catch the latest news and notes, you can find Daniel, aka the Schlocketeer, on all the socials. So welcome back and thanks again.
Now, thanks for having me.
All right. So we said we're going to look back at the first half of 2025, and we did put together our list of our favorite movies so far this year. Again, right. the top horrors over there on our Fright Club podcast.
That's right.
But we have some that we liked a lot this year, starting with
number 11. That's how good the year has been, is that we go to 11. A great little movie you probably missed about baseball called Ephus.
Ephus. Baseball fans know that's an old time pitch, Ephus. But yeah, it's low budget and it has a feel of it sometimes, but it's a great story about baseball and people that still love it even when they can't play it anymore. Yes. So look that one up. That's at number 11. And number 10
is My Dead Friend Zoe. This is a really great movie, really about PTSD. It sneaks up on you. You're not sure exactly what you're watching. You have a feeling that you're watching something you've seen before. You absolutely haven't. Beautiful performances, sometimes strangely funny, absolutely moving and worth catching. My Dead Friend Zoe at number 10. At number 9, Mickey 17.
Yeah, Bong Joon-ho.
Yep.
Just off of, you may have seen, Parasite was voted the #1 movie of this century,
That's
right?
Yeah.
By the New York Times, all their voters. Hard to argue.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, actually, I looked over that entire. We didn't do our own ballot, but I looked over the list, and I don't have a whole lot of nits to pick. There are a few here and there, but it's a pretty good list. There are some great movies included on there. Some that obviously we'd like to have included that weren't, but overall, I'd say they do a pretty good job. So yeah, Mickey 17.
And at number 8, we have the documentary that means a lot to us here in Columbus, Ohio, especially the two of us as alums. That's a Surviving Ohio State.
Yeah, that is really tough to watch, no matter really where you went to school. It's a really heartbreaking story, betrayal and abuse. It'll make you mad, it'll make you sad, but it's still an important story to tell, and it's told well. And that is on an HBO documentary, so obviously it's on HBO. Surviving Ohio State.
And at number 7 is a road comedy. Director, writer, and co-star Michael Angarano and Michael Cera. It's called Sacramento.
Yeah, it's funny and it's character driven, and the two. It's basically they play old friends who reconnect on this forced kind of drive across country to the old times, and Michael Cera really doesn't want to. And then they both have women, partners, played by Kristen Stewart on one hand, and I'm blanking on the other, but on the other actress. But what's nice is, especially Kristen Stewart, because you wonder why she would sign on to be just a helpmate. Well, she's not. It's nice that these characters are more than that, both of them, and they contribute a lot toward the story, to the resolution, and to how these male characters interact to each other. So, and it's really smart and funny. We've seen these types of movies before, but it finds a way to do it fresh. And it's, awkward. There's some awkward comedy too, but it works. So I really like this one, Sacramento.
Speaking of awkward comedy, our number 6 has Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd in the weirdest bromance ever, Friendship.
Yeah, this was it's a bit different than what I thought it was going to be when I saw the trailer. I thought it was that Tim Robinson is befriended by Paul Rudd, and then for no reason, Paul Rudd just decided, no, you're not. Well, no, not
There's
really.
Plenty of reasons.
There's reasons.
Reason aplenty.
And I guess if you're familiar with Tim Robinson's TV show, which we were not, you would expect that. But it's talk about, awkward humor, but man, it is. And it's got, I'm telling you, if you could find a movie where character development is achieved by a piece of clothing, it's Tim Robinson's coat.
It is Tim Robinson.
Just look at that coat he's wearing.
Like, I know that guy.
I mean, it's perfect. Whoever was the costume designer, that coat says so much about this character that is then fleshed out by the script and the acting. But the coat is awesome. And then Paul Rudd, and then I forget Tim Robinson's his wife,
Kate Mara.
Kate Mara. Yeah. It's a really awkwardly funny
comedy.
And I know that kind of comedy doesn't work on everyone, But if it works on you, you're going to find this hilarious.
Yeah,
hilarious. Friendship.
And then our number 5, cracker number 5 is writer director Mickey Keating and producer star Joe Swanberg in the really unsettling horror film Invader.
Yeah, this is it's a quick one. It's lean, it's mean, about obviously, as the title makes you think, a home marauder, and it will make you lock the doors, check the doors, make sure they're locked, because it's not pleasant. But boy, it's gripping and scary, and it gets you invested in this one character specifically. It's not one where you'll get a big backstory about why this guy is invading. You don't need to know.
You don't need to know.
No, but it's tense and scary.
It is.
And gets it done in not even, I don't think, an hour and a half.
No, less than that.
Yeah.
So good. So good. So well made. Number 4, Soderbergh gives us a very grown-uppy spy game with the great Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender with Black Bag.
Yeah, I mean, just those two
Right.
alone being paired up. Oh, I'm interested in that.
Right.
And you hear that sometimes from people, adults. Where's there a movie for, adults on a date night or whatever, go to see? I don't want to see a superhero or something like that. Here you go.
This is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
It's smart. It's sexy. It's got great, good-looking people in it. It keeps you engaged intellectually. And it's just a great grown-up movie with great craftsmanship and great stars. And it's very satisfying all the way around. So, Soderbergh's Black Bag.
Number 3 is Emily Blichfeld's her feminist body horror take on Cinderella called The Ugly Stepsister.
Yeah, keep in mind, body horror is right. I mean, there's some uncomfortable stuff going on here. But if you're okay with that, you get a really smart and relevant take on the Cinderella that really harkens back to, if people are not aware, and I really wasn't as aware as you were, about the violence in the original story.
Yeah, especially the French variant of the original story where they cut off their toes and heels to fit into it. It's nasty, and this just ups that ante. It's so gory and smart. It's wonderful.
Yeah, a great feature debut from the writer director, and a lead performance as well. Is fantastic in this movie. So yeah, if you can stand some body horror, check it out. The Ugly Stepsister.
Number 2, Pee Wee Herman as himself.
Yes. This is on HBO,
and it's a 2. You got two for the price of one.
Yeah, it was much like the Steve Martin documentary from last year, which was also very good.
Yeah,
but this one, have your tissues handy, especially if you're big fans as we are of Paul Rubens, aka Pee Wee Herman, as it goes through his backstory, his life, his
upbringing, which
is
really
fascinating.
revelatory.
Yeah, and then his claim to fame, his climb to fame through the ranks, and then hitting it huge. As Pee Wee Herman. And for people that maybe are of a certain age and weren't here in the mid-1980s, he was as huge a part of mid-80s popular culture. I mean, he was everywhere. Pee Wee Herman became such a bigger-than-life persona, and in this movie talks about how at first he made that conscious choice to hide behind Pee Wee Herman as his, not only to keep his name and his private life separate, but then that became a double-edged sword because people, you're Pee Wee Herman, and that's all you are.
Yeah.
And then of course he covers his fall from grace with the scandals and things like that. So, and it's also, what's really most fascinating is the relationship, the give and take between Paul Rubens and the documentarian who's questioning him.
Yeah, it is pretty fascinating, and they let you know early on that the filmmaker did not know that Paul Rubens was dying as they were filming it, and that in fact died before it was done.
Yep, and it's so touching in that way, and you can tell that Paul Rubens is, the end is very, very touching and sad, because as you can tell, we were extremely sad that he passed away, as a lot of people were, because he was so careful to keep it secret. We didn't know he was sick. So many people did not know he was sick, and it's a touching look at a really important piece of popular culture, especially in the 80s. A lot of things you didn't know, and then just a warm send off as well for Pee Wee as himself, not just Pee Wee Herman. But of course, you get some great Pee Wee highlights. Don't get us wrong. I mean, if you're a fan, you see some great Pee Wee highlights, but also learn more about Paul Rubens, Pee Wee as himself. So yeah, loved it on HBO. Pee Wee as himself. Number 2.
And what else could it possibly be? The best film so far, 2025, and the rest of 2025 has a pretty high bar to meet. It's Ryan Coogler's Sinners.
Yeah, so great. As we talked about on our other podcast, Fright Club, it was one of those immediately you see it, and I want to see that again.
Yes.
And we were lucky enough to see it on 70 millimeter. So if you're lucky enough to have a theater in your area that has 70 millimeter prints of this,
see it.
It. It's so worth it. Usually it costs a little more, but it's worth it. It's one of those films that, you know, a filmmaker as great as Ryan Coogler, everything means something.
Yeah.
Everything means something. In some cases means more than one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he weaves together, so, you know, the vampire story, different cultures, different music, what that music meant to these cultures and how these cultures interacted in history, on and on and on.
Yeah. And just, you know, what, you know, the tools that are used to keep the powerless full of hope, but not really full of power. It's a fascinating. And the other thing, I think, you know, if you don't think you like scary movies, and if you try to avoid horror movies, this is a vampire film, but this is very absolutely Oscar caliber filmmaking. And you should try to see it. It's not terribly scary. It's not terribly violent, and well, it's violent. It's not terribly gory. It's scary, but really do yourself the favor of seeing this movie. It's just a masterpiece. Yeah,
it really is. It's one of those once in a many years type of movie event, and I'm so great. We're both so happy to learn how much it's done box office wise, because once in a while you get that happy marriage of
a brilliant original piece of film
and critical, and popular acceptance that it's making so much money, which is awesome.
Yes.
And it's far and away number one on the horror list and on the overall list. You're right. It's got to be considered. I hope it's nominated for a boatload of Oscars. It deserves them in almost every category that I can think of.
Absolutely.
And I love when horror gets that due. Other films have earned it and haven't gotten it. This one earns it and hopefully will get it.
Right.
We shall see. Not that movies their worth is proven by awards. They're not. It's not a meritocracy. We know that. There are other things come into it, but we're still caught up in it every award season, and we want to see movies that we love so much get that recognition, especially when they're horror, and especially when they're filmmakers as talented as Ryan Coogler is. So number one, Sinners. See it again, see it in 70 millimeter. And that gets us set for the second half. And that's, of course, always when the real Oscar contenders, the studio, what the studios have planned for Oscar contenders come in. We'll see those in a few months, but we're off and running with the second half of 2025. So let us know what you thought, not only about this weekend, but your favorites from the first half of the year. You can always find us easily, MaddWolf Columbus, on all the social pages. And MaddWolf.com is the main website as we look forward to what is coming up next week. And it was a pretty slow week, really, comparatively.
Yeah.
Especially for a holiday weekend.
Yeah, but we get to go to Cleveland, where it was filmed, to watch the critic premiere of Superman.
I'm going to do that here in a couple of days. So that'll be the big one for next week. Also, Zombies 4.
Yep. Jaws at 50. This is a documentary that we were so excited to see, and it did not disappoint.
Yeah, so we got to see it. We were lucky enough to see it a few weeks ago, and they told us not to talk about it for a few weeks, but we did do a quick reaction video, which is up on our socials now, just to give you a little overview, but we'll dive in with actual review next week, and that is going to be streaming. Also, Not Alone Anymore is next week.
And Hot Springs Shark.
Hot Springs Shark. Another shark movie.
Yeah.
All right. One called Push.
And then also Henry Golding again in Daniela Forever.
Okay. All right. And that's looking ahead to next week. But again, what do you think about this week or the first 6 months of the year? Let us know. MaddWolf Columbus on the socials, MaddWolf.com on the main website. And until next week, stay cool. Don't get sunburned. Be well. Have a great holiday weekend, and we will talk then. And she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Screening Room Podcast.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner.